Thank you to Babbel for sponsoring. More on them at the end of the video. We're going to talk about how you can build your self-confidence in today's video. Hello everyone, Jennifer here, and welcome back to the Daily Connoisseur. Okay, let's talk about self-confidence. I recently did a podcast with Matt Hall from Success School, and we talked about self-confidence a lot, about resiliency in the face of rejection and ridicule. And it's a subject that I'm really passionate about and unfortunately also very knowledgeable in because I've had a lot of rejection in my life and I've also faced a lot of ridicule. So how do you maintain self-confidence? How do you become a successful person when you are faced with such seeming roadblocks? It all boils down to you developing the superpower of not caring what other people think of you. And I know that this is easier said than done. How do you develop that superpower? This trickles into everything in your life, from how you run your home to what you decide to do for work to how you express your true style. It's about tuning out all the noise around you and really going inward to know who you are and to be confident in that no matter what. So I have experienced a lot of rejection in my life, as you know, especially professionally. I never let the rejection get me down. Thank God, because if I did do that, I wouldn't be here today talking to you, that's for sure. And I wouldn't be living my dream as I am through my career because I love what I do. So I shared a story in my podcast with Matt about one of the rejections that I got early on in my career. This literary agent who I was trying to sign with told me that my book, my first one, Lessons from Madame Chic, was not going to be popular. People were not going to read it. It was too similar to Inez de la Fressage's book, Parisian Chic, which had just come out at the time. And I remember thinking, what is this lady talking about? Inez's book is wonderful. It's a fantastic book. But my book is not like her book. It's very different. And there's room for both. But in her mind, she did not see that. She saw that there was only room for one. And because Inez is a celebrity, that was the one, right? There was no room for my book. After she rejected me, I thought, okay, her opinion is not my reality. I was not rude to her. I didn't argue with her. I allowed her to think that, and I accepted the rejection from her, and I moved on. I think where a lot of people get tripped up is that they want to convince these people that they are worthy. And if I had gone back and, pleaded with her, well, you don't see it. I mean, my book is really good. And then trying to convince her this, first of all, I'd be working with a literary agent who didn't believe in me, okay? And now I have been with the most wonderful literary agent at Trident Media Group, Erica Silverman, and we've been together for 12 years now. We love each other. She gets me. She's the perfect agent for me. Whereas I would have been yoked with this person that I'm like arguing with and doesn't believe in me. Do you know what I mean? So when you meet these people that don't get you, move on, because you don't need to convince them. It's like you have too many things to do. So she told me this. And of course, the book ended up being successful. That's a whole story in itself. I've told it many times, and you can listen to my interview on Matt's podcast if you want to know the full story. But basically, about a year later, I remember walking into Anthropologie, and Anthropologie is a big store here in America. And my book was next to Inez's book on one of the display tables. They were selling both of them side by side together. Which just shows that yes, that reality could exist. That agent could not see it, but I could see it. And I knew that there was room for both. So when someone is so sure of themselves and they tell you, nope, I can't see it, this isn't happening, I'm sorry, you're wasting your time, you need to just thank them and move on. And don't let their opinion define your reality. I have another story. When I was in junior high school, grew up in California, I went to public school. In my homeroom class, I sat at a table with a boy, and this boy always made fun of how I looked, particularly my chest size, okay? So you can imagine as a teenage girl, how completely undesirable this situation was. I'm like, get me away from this guy. He would just talk about how I was so skinny and how I didn't have, big breasts, basically, is what he was saying. And I remember thinking, I didn't argue with him. I was in agony. Like, first of all, that's a horrible situation to be in. And bullying at school is no joke. And my heart goes out to every child who is bullied at school because it's horrible. I don't know. I think I developed this superpower back then because in my mind, I was thinking, you are not anything special, kid. So I don't know why you're commenting on me. Okay. But I know that I knew that back then I liked my body. Yes, it is different than other women's bodies. I'm not a voluptuous woman, but I like that about myself. And I still like that about myself. I love my body. But I know that there are other people who, when they are criticized like that, maybe as a child or a teenager, they take it to heart. And I very well could have easily thought, oh my gosh, is he right? Like, is my body not good enough? What do I need to do? Do I need to get surgery to fix it? That type of mentality. And this is not a commentary on surgery. So if you get surgery because you want surgery, that's totally fine. But I'm talking about the people who get it because someone criticized them. And that hurts my heart because I think, because basically what I would have been doing is allowing the opinions of this boy, who I don't even know where he is now, but I wish he could see this video, right? Allowing his opinions to inform how I think about myself and to think negatively about myself. So that's why I call it a superpower, because it is something that you have to develop, and it's not easy. It's easier to go to the dark side and think, oh, what if they're right? What if my book isn't good enough? What if I am not pretty enough? What if my body isn't sexy enough? That's where a lot of people could go. Another factor. So I've given an example in my professional life, in my personal life. Let's talk about pop culture in general, especially for women. Constantly telling women what they should look like, how they should be, okay? Now, I know I have a channel here where I share style and I share, advice on being elegant and presenting yourself, but I always want you to do it through the lens of your own true style. I'm not trying to tell you how to look. We have so many different people here on the Daily Connoisseur, and I think that you are all beautiful. Okay, I really do. But pop culture will go through different trends. Like, for example, sometimes the big voluptuous trend is going on. That was going on for a long time. And people were getting surgeries to look like that. And now it's like the trend is going more skinnier, right? So it's like it goes back and forth. And women are just like, wait, what do I do? A lot of them are. So it's like, what do you do? What do you want to do? How do you feel your best? Tune out the pop culture, tune out the snarky professional criticism, tune out the personal critiques on how you look, and express yourself in the way that you want to express yourself. And I find that it really is like a superpower. I wrote a few more tips here in my notebook. The first thing I wrote down was know who you are. You just need to know who you are. And so that's why whenever these people reject or ridicule me, I don't even get involved with arguing with them. I just thank them for their time, or I just ignore them, or whatever it is. I don't get involved. I'm not trying to convince these people about me and what I'm about. Okay, so just know who you are and be confident in that, and don't feel like you need to convince anyone otherwise. Okay. Number 2, this is my favorite one. I like to observe these things from a distance. So William Shakespeare wrote, all the world is a stage and all the men and women merely players. Okay, and that's kind of how I like to look at life. I do think of it, maybe because I was a theater major in college, but all the world is a stage. And so when these things are happening to me, I'm able to look at them objectively from a distance, as if I'm watching a play and as if they're merely players. And I do think that they are players. I think that all the people that have rejected me or ridiculed me in my past were there to make me stronger. And I don't look at them as negative. I think, wow, I learned so many lessons from these people, and I'm actually grateful for the experience. So I like to look at it like that. And then the third thing is, just because they cannot picture it does not mean it doesn't exist or that it couldn't exist. Okay, so a lot of people have limited thinking and they're only looking at the world through their own perspective, and that is limited. So the literary agent who couldn't see my book next to Inez's book, she couldn't picture it. Her vision was limited. Does that mean that it's not real and that it couldn't happen? No, because I have the picture to prove it. I love that because that shows that what you picture in your head is very valuable. And it's really all that matters. If you can picture it, it can happen. That's another thing that I tell myself is these people have limited thinking, okay? So even like the boy who criticized me, he obviously had a certain type he was looking for and I didn't fit into that type. I'm not losing any sleep over that, okay? That's his problem, not my problem. So it's just about knowing that their limited thinking is not your problem. It's all about how you think about yourself and about your circumstances. And now I would like to share the sponsor for this video, which is Babbel. We're talking about self-confidence in this video, and one way that you can build your confidence, especially if you're traveling in a foreign country, is to learn the language. So let me tell you about Babbel. They are one of the top language learning apps in the entire world. Their intuitive lessons help you learn a language through real-life conversations. I like keeping on top of my French for self-improvement purposes. So ever since I came back from France, I don't really speak French out here because there's no one to talk to and my French has plummeted. So I like to use Babbel to keep up my conversational skills. Babbel is scientifically proven to help you start speaking a new language in 3 weeks. Their lessons are designed by real language teachers. They offer a 20-day money-back guarantee, and they even offer live classes. You get 2 free classes with your subscription. Babbel teaches real-world conversations to help prepare you for everything from travel, business, relationships, and more. They have a few different subscriptions to choose from, including a lifetime subscription. So have a look here. This is what the app is like when you're using it.
Tomber amoureux.
Tomber amoureux.
Tu ne vas jamais deviner.
Bah vas-y, raconte.
Lise, Loïc, Laura et les autres. Ils sont tous allés en week-end à Noirmoutier.
Et alors?
I would love to know what type of language you want to learn and why. You can either click the link below or scan the QR code here to receive 60% off during Babbel's Black Friday sale. Thank you so much to Babbel for sponsoring this video. Thank you so much everyone for joining me today on the Daily Connoisseur. Please leave your experience down below. I love to hear from you. In the meantime, keep calm and remain classy, and I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.